10K down in Atlanta, Georgia. But I quickly realized, I was in the construction industry. I was a smoker. I didn't eat like I should. And I could really tell it once I started running because I started feeling better. Not only did I say I wanted to eat better, but I realized that if I did eat better, it made that run even easier. So it's kind of a compounding thing. But I caught a glimpse of something that I enjoyed, and that was the sport of running. And that's a great thing until it becomes too much. I was spending more time running than I was spending time with my wife, my kids. I had just done my first Ironman, and I was signed up for my second one. My oldest son had just completed his first triathlon. So everything we were talking about was running. A gentleman who is a good friend of mine has been a runner all of his life. He said, "Mitch, don't let this become your God." I was offended in the moment by what he said. And so after praying about it, I decided that I was going to go get 12 t-shirts made. And I wrote the phrase, "Run for God." I went down to my local print shop and I gave them this funny looking stick guy, and I said, "I need 12 t-shirts printed." I started wearing these shirts every single day. And it didn't take very long before people in my church started asking about these goofy looking t-shirts, saying things like, "You really need to start teaching some kind of running class at our church." And my answer was always very simple. It was, no. I'm a builder in Dalton, Georgia. I've never taught anything in my life, so no. So I made some posters, and I used the same funny looking stick guy, and I put "Run for God, the 5K challenge coming this January." I had 14 people registered to take this 5K challenge. And I looked out at the class and I said, "Why are you here?" Because I was genuinely curious why these people were here. These were people of all different backgrounds, all different shapes, sizes, ages. And I heard a husband and wife talk about they were on the hamster wheel of life. They were overweight, and they would come home from work and sit down on the couch and watch TV and go to bed and get up the next morning and do the same thing. I heard a gentleman talk about how he's chronically overweight and he wants to be here for his grandkids. And I started hearing all these stories that just made me realize this was the right move. I'm here to give these people hope through what Christ can do in their life. We began to meet week after week, and I was writing this curriculum as we went. A friend of mine who's not even a runner, he said, "Mitchell, you need to think about publishing this." And I remember laughing out loud. I wouldn't even know where to start. No, I don't have time to do this full time. I don't have the credentials. I'm not that great of a runner. I don't know the Bible as well as I should. All the excuses that we typically make, I was given. Who am I? I'm just a builder from Dalton, Georgia. This can't be me. The next morning I said, well, I'm just going to pick up the phone. There was only one Christian publisher that I knew of at the time, so I picked up the phone and I called their 800 number. Long story short, in an hour and a half on the phone, we had a book deal. I was not even done writing the program yet. I had a lot of work ahead of me. And I remember looking at that race. We graduated at a race where Run for God participants made up over half the race. And I remember looking out thinking, this can never get any bigger than this. This is huge. And that was 16 churches in July of 2010. And today as I sit here, the 5K Challenge has been taught in just over 4,500 communities around the world. I love watching the transformation that takes place in other people. That is what really drives me now. I always kind of make the comment, we take the number 1 and the number 2 New Year's resolutions and we put them together. I want to get healthier and I want to get closer to Christ. So our program, what's very appealing about it is not only those two things. We teach you how to enter the sport safely. We teach you about the tools that you need. Most people don't know that your shoes are the most important piece of equipment you have as a runner. But it's also the accountability. Surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, who have the same goals. And that's what Run for God is. I'll never forget, we were invited to the premiere, which was on Super Bowl weekend in downtown Atlanta, just outside the Super Bowl. Urban Meyer was there, Tim Tebow and his fiance, Robbie Tebow, Dabo Sweeney was there. All these giants of not only sports, but of the faith. And that was one of those moments where I looked at my wife and I'm like, what in the world are we doing here? And there again, it's just a testament to where we tend to put God in a box. You know, that's why I'm convinced that he chose a builder from Dalton, Georgia, who didn't know the Bible as well as he should. I still don't. I'm working on that. Who wasn't that great of a runner, because he knew that I could never take credit for what has happened. It is all God.
Hey, welcome to Run Club, everybody. I've grown some hair since the last time you saw me. What do you think? Pretty good, huh? Yeah, maybe not. I hope everybody's having a good time tonight. Hope you've enjoyed listening to Mitchell's story. It's really, really interesting. You will also hear that story again in the first week of the 5K Challenge program. So you should know it by heart by then, right? So, hey, I just want to say this up front. If you want to be able to comment, I can see some comments here and some people have already figured it out. But if you'll hit the little YouTube button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, then you can go straight to the YouTube link and you'll be able to comment. So if you want to be able to comment, great, then do that. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome especially to those of you who are new. We have a ton of new people, and it's great to see us growing like we are. We normally do this on Thursday night. We're doing it on Wednesday for a couple of reasons, but obviously tomorrow being New Year's, we figured there wouldn't be a whole lot of folks wanting to tune in. So we're here on Wednesday. And the idea behind this broadcast tonight is to test all of our systems and to make sure that they work for when we go live on January the 17th. So that's why we're on YouTube tonight instead of Facebook, because that's where it's going to be. That's why you got a link, because that's the way it's going to work going forward. You're going to get a link that is going to send you to the right place out of the Run for God Run Club page. And we're going to just test some things out. We're going to try bringing folks in, and we showed a video. We're going to try some different things and see how it works. And if some things don't go just right, well, we'll have time to fix it before January the 17th, right? So that's our goal tonight. Each week we'll start with a video similar to, well, I won't say similar to what we just watched, but we will start each week with a video. Now, the first week we'll probably start live and then go to a video just because it's our first week. But that's our typical MO will be to start with a video. That video will last some time. It'll last a lot longer than that video did. And then we'll come on and we'll answer any questions that you might have afterwards. That is the goal. That's a pretty good video, huh? I wish we could say we did that video, but Partners for Christian Media, the ones that run J Radio, they're the ones that made that video, and they did a great job. They help us with our podcast as well. Good people over there doing some good stuff for us, and obviously in the name of Jesus. So, again, if you want to be able to comment, make sure that you go down there and click on the YouTube thing there at the bottom right-hand corner. And you can send some questions. If you've got some questions, you can send some of those in now, and we can be looking at those as we go, because we're going to answer some questions at the end. We have some questions that have already been asked that we are going to answer toward the end. So your question may already have been asked, and we may already be planning to address it. But anyway, go ahead and ask those questions now if you've got some, so that we'll have them for them. Remember, you have to be registered for the Couch to Marathon program in order to get all the correspondence for the Couch to Marathon program. So if you are participating in the Couch to Marathon program, then you should have already registered for the Couch to Marathon program through the Run for God Run Club page. I think maybe most of you have, but I think there's still a few out there that you've signed up for Run Club. That's great. You have to be in Run Club before you can do the Couch to Marathon. But you also have that additional step. So make sure that you have done that if you haven't done that already. if you're here, you're already a Run Club member. So we know that. If you are not already enrolled in the Couch to Marathon program, there is a link below that you can check, and you can click on, and you can go straight there, and you can go ahead and get registered. So how are the classes going to work? As I mentioned, we'll start each Sunday with a video kind of like this one. Something, again, it'll be longer than this, but that link will be sent out each Sunday afternoon so that you'll have that link for class on Sunday evening. Mitchell and I will be hosting each of those weeks. Part of that, a good portion of it, will be a video, and then the very last part of it will be live. Again, in the first week, we'll have some live stuff too. To start off with, the class format is that we typically start off with a story, and that story is where, again, it's a lot like our podcast. If you've seen our podcast, where it's a story of somebody's journey and the way that somebody's faith and their running have intersected, made a difference in their lives, and just a great witness. And so those are the stories that we will share up front. And then there'll be a little bit of Bible study attached to those stories. There'll be some specific questions asked within those stories, in the context of those stories, things that you can write down, you can discuss, and then we can talk about that in that question session afterwards. There'll be running related content each week. For example, in week 2, we're going to talk about running shoes. That is a very running specific thing. And so each week we'll have a spiritual half of the class, and then we'll have a running related half of the class. And so be ready for that. I think that a lot of that information will be good. Those first 2 classes will be longer than some of the other classes, I think. Maybe a few classes will be. But certainly the first ones, till we get this thing figured out, certainly will be a little bit longer, because the running shoes, it takes a long time to explain running shoes, right? It takes a long time to explain the stuff we explained in the first class too. So we will, again, we want to be careful with those questions at the end of the sessions, because we want to be respectful of your time. We don't want to hold that class, and we don't want to be there for 2 hours answering questions. And so we'll answer the few most pertinent questions. But again, we want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to try to keep that class as brief and as short as we can, but give you all the information that you need. After class, or at some point after class, you will need to do your runs on your own. We can't do that for you. So you have to get out there and find some time to do 3 runs a week. In the 5K portion of this program, it's going to be 3 runs a week. And you can do that as a group. You can find an accountability partner to do it with. You can do it attached to the class in some way if you want to, but just find a way to get out there 3 times a week. And as Mitchell we'll talk about in that first week, you want to skip days in between. So you want to run a day, skip a day, run a day, skip a day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday works are perfect. So sometimes things happen, I understand, but that's the best way to do it. If you missed the class, don't worry. The replay will be available. And the only thing that you'll miss is the ability to comment or ask questions. And for a lot of folks, if you're like me, I don't typically ask a ton of questions in a class. So it doesn't bother me not to be able to ask questions most of the time, because usually there's somebody out there way smarter than me that asks the good questions. So again, we also have a 5K Challenge app. If you go to the App Store in either Apple or Google, you'll find the Run for God 5K Challenge app. It makes things a little bit easier during this 5K challenge portion, because what it does is it tells you, we'll start off by doing some running and some walking, and we'll alternate that. And this allows you, it comes on, and if you're listening to music through the app, then you can, it'll interrupt your music and say, it'll ding and it'll go run, and you'll start to run, and then it'll ding again, it'll say walk, and you'll walk. So it's a very encouraging app, helps you to keep on pace and to do your workout just right. So you can check that out if you're interested in that. It's just a few dollars. So that's the format of the class, and your responsibility to get those 3 runs done. If you've already heard all of this already, because we've talked about it, I think on the podcast, maybe a couple other places, but we're going to talk about it some more, because we want to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing, and that's important, that everybody gets the information. And we always have somebody who says, I didn't hear that. So we want to make sure that everybody hears. So without further ado, let me bring on the patriarch of Run for God, Mitchell Hollis. Let's see if we can get him on here. Here he comes. All right.
Hey Dean.
Man, I'm excited. What do you think?
Man, I tell you what, these people, these new members are wearing me out, but I love every minute of it. It's I want to throw a challenge out there to everybody right now. As we are sitting here, we are at 910 people that are doing this challenge with us. Now, that's a little bit too close to 1,000 for my taste. So, as you know, Dean knows, a few months ago, we kind of put a soft goal out there. You know, I'm not real big on goals, and that's kind of strange to say because we're Run for God, but I'm not real big on goals with this ministry, because every time I set a goal, either it's too ambitious and it's more of a Mitchell goal, or I tend to put God in a box and he just blows it out of the water. But we kind of softly said, man, how cool would it be to be at 1,000 people by the end of the year? Did we not say that?
Yes, we did.
And right now we're at 910. We may be at 911 by this point of me talking. So I want to throw a challenge out there to everybody. I'm loving all the comments. I'm seeing Angie. Wow. I saw Joe Bullis on here. That's a name I haven't seen in several years and until the past few weeks. And so welcome, Joe. All these names, it's just incredible. Some old names and some names I've never seen before. So I digress. My challenge. We've talked about several times that this is better with at least one more person. If everybody watching this, if everybody that's joining in this challenge will go get one more person, we'll double overnight. We will hit that 1,000 by tomorrow night. By the stroke of midnight tomorrow night, I want to be at 1,000 people. Now, how can you do that? You saw me going out in my neighborhood and putting out flyers in mailboxes. I did get an email. Evidently, that is illegal. You? I didn't know. Luckily, I know all my neighbors, and hopefully they won't turn me in. So you might not ought to put them in the mailboxes. You may have to do something else.
Well, I mentioned today on Facebook that I found out that it is not illegal to tape them to the outside of the mailbox. So if you take some tape with you and tape them to the outside of the mailbox, that is legal.
Okay. So I was illegal the other day. So sorry about that everybody watched that video. But do the flyers. We've got plenty of graphics on social media. Grab one of those graphics. It's awesome to see some of the people that are stepping way outside their comfort zone, and they're posting one of the graphics and they're saying, hey, I just signed up for the Couch to Marathon Challenge. That takes some guts. So kudos to all of you who have done that. For all of you who haven't done that, do it. Nothing will hold your feet to the fire more than putting yourself out there. It is scary. I've been a little bit timid about it. I haven't run a marathon in several years now, so I'm right there with most everybody in this group. Many of the people in this group are much further ahead than I am right now. So do that. I wanted to talk a little bit about, we've had questions about what do you need? You know, Run Club, we've set this up where you really don't need anything other than to be a member of Run Club. But there are some things that's going to make this better. And the biggest one, you got an email today, and you may be getting another one right now. I think something might have got double scheduled. But you're getting an email about the Run Club, or not the Run Club, but the 5K Challenge kit. So if you've been part of Run for God for a while, you're familiar with these. It's got the 5K Challenge book. Now, remember, this is going to get you through the first 12 weeks. This is not taking you all the way through to the marathon. We'll have some other resources later available for that. But this is the first 12 weeks, and it's got places to journal. It's got questions. It's got everything that we're going to be going over in the class. It's got it here. You know, if you went to Barnes and Noble, Dean, and picked up a book on how to start running, this is that book. Now, this isn't in Barnes and Noble, but this is the guide to how to start running. So you get that. You get the plan for walkers. If you're going to walk this, yes, we do have a plan for walkers in here. You get the 5K challenge sticker, and you also get the new Worldwide Challenge T-shirt, which the color has changed this year for 2021. So a lot of great stuff in there. But most of all, I want everybody to go out tonight. You know, you may be having a New Year's get together with somebody tomorrow night, probably some close friends. Challenge them, or do like I do and dare them. We've gotten into a pretty good bit of trouble daring each other through the years. And but yeah, make it fun. It's always more fun with more people.
Absolutely. That's the more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic. All right. Anything else, Mitchell, before we go?
You know, we had 2 salvations today. I don't know if you're on the text list for the God Winks or not, but praise God for that. God's up to something in this ministry, and I'm just thrilled to be along for the ride, and I'm glad everybody watching here tonight's along for the ride with us.
And I'll tell you what, if you're not on that text list, it comes out with the email that you get each week. Scroll down there and find that and sign up for that text list. I'm going to tell you what, we had 2 come through, just an hour apart or so, a little while ago today.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing will lift your heart better than just knowing that God's working out there in 2 completely different areas of the country.
Yep. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mitchell.
We have fun, and I'm going to get on here and start making some comments and poking everybody.
All right. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Dean.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So a couple of things. Somebody asked about a 10K or a half app. We don't have a 10K or a half app, and I'll tell you why we don't have a 10K or a half app. Because the 10K and the half training is not the 10K and half training is based on mileage, and it's not based on starting and stopping and starting and stopping. So the app is useful for the starting and stopping. Now you can use the app for any run. You can just set it to just run and play your music, but you don't have to use the app for that. And there is no reason to have something tell you when to start and stop in the 10K, half marathon, and marathon portions. So the other thing that I wanted to mention, Mitchell mentioned the books, and that you can find a beginning running book in Barnes and Noble, and you might be able to do that, but you can't find one with the spiritual impact that the Run for God 5K challenge book has. So, and don't forget, the class time starts at 8. We normally are doing these things when we do them during the week. We've been doing them at 9 p.m. Eastern time. The Sunday evening is going to be an hour earlier, so it's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So for you folks out there on the West Coast, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be earlier, but it's on the weekend, and we figure that's good. And so I know there have been a bunch of folks on the East Coast that have been clamoring, saying, please do it earlier. It's past my bedtime. And believe me, I get that. As soon as I get off of here at 9:30 on Thursday nights, I go to bed. So just so you know, I'm in that same boat with you. Some other questions and questions that have come through in the past through email or something else. Can we or a family be on one account? Yes and no. Here's the thing. You can be on one account as a family. Like you can have a husband and wife or a whole family, with a couple of kids, and you can have everybody on one account, but you only get one access for that one account. So if you want to have 2 different Facebook accesses, you both have your own accounts, you want to have 2 Facebook accesses. If you want to have 2 free entries to the Run at the Mill, you only get 1 free entry if you only have 1 account for your family. So there are benefits to having more than 1 account for those of you, because I know that we have some families that have more than 1 account. And not to mention that if you have more than 1 account, you're still helping a ministry that gets up every day trying to figure out how to share the word of Christ with the running community. you can see today we had two salvations an hour apart. A lot of that is due to the ability for us to continue to do what we do, and for God to be glorified through what we do. And so that helps us. Here's another one. When will we register for the marathon, and do we do that, or does Run for God do that for us? You will register for the marathon. We're in the process now of trying to figure out. We're trying to get maybe even a group discount if they'll give us one. We're trying to work on the details of how to do that. You will have to register. We just don't have the resources to register a whole bunch of people all at one time. And so that will be something that you'll be responsible for. But the Disney Marathon the registration doesn't even open until I think it's either March or April, May. It's in the spring sometime. And so we'll have more details on that as we get closer to that. Okay. And don't forget, Run at the Mill is free to you. Okay. So that 5K, that first race, if you can make it to Dalton, Georgia, and I realize that not everybody can, but if you can make it to Dalton, Georgia, you get to run for free at Run at the Mill. So that's a good deal. Now, the Disney Marathon is a pricey marathon, just to be honest with you. So be ready for that. Don't have sticker shock when you see that it costs a fair amount of money to join that marathon. What if I get injured? I always hate that question. We know that people are going to get injured. There's no question about it. It happens. We're at 911 now members. We know that somebody is going to get injured. But I will say this: we're going to be going slow. Okay, we're going to be taking it easy. And if you'll listen and follow instructions, your chances of being injured will be less. I promise you that. And depending on your ability, you may be, if you have a minor thing, something that pops up and we can kind of work on it and get rid of it, you may be able to get rid of that pretty quick and catch right back up, depending on the ability that you have. For some people, they're going to start this program out and it's going to feel rather easy to them. We've got people that I know right now are already running more than a 5K that are going to start with us in January. If somebody like that has a minor injury, they'll be able to catch back up. But it's, injury is just a risk that we take when we participate in anything. Honestly, injury is something that we take a risk when we get in our car, right? It's just something that happens. So if you do have some kind of an injury, it's just work with your doctor to do the best you can to get back to where you were, knowing that there are going to be those that can't, and there are going to be those that can hop right back on it. So that's just part of the program. What if I can't finish? I'll tell you what, we're going to all do the absolute best that we can. And I can tell you this: whether you finish or not, the experience that you have over this next year is going to make you a better person, whether you finish or not. I promise you that. The things that you're going to experience, if you'll persevere and you'll work through as much as you can work through, you're going to get something out of this program, no matter what you do in the end. I promise you that. But, and it's a big but, don't sell yourself short. I see it all the time. We have literally hundreds of stories of people all across the country who didn't think they could, and then they did. And so we're going to have those stories within this group. Somebody listening tonight is thinking, I don't know that I can do this. And you're going to do it. And you're going to be so proud of yourself. And we're all going to be proud of yourself because we're all going to be at the finish line waiting for you. So we can't wait to do that. So don't sell yourself short. Don't think about not finishing. It's not an option, right? I was just watching a program about the Apollo missions and the space program. And, the famous line from, I can't remember the guy's name that was in command. And he said, failure is not an option. Okay. So failure is not an option. Okay. That's the way we look at it. Here's another question. Can I do a different race than Disney? And the answer is yes, you can. Somebody asked about a December marathon. Now, if you're going to try to run a month earlier, the program's not really designed to have you ready a month earlier. Now, are there some things we can do depending on your fitness level? Yes. If you got through that half marathon really easily and it wasn't any problem for you, then we could probably accelerate that and get you to that marathon finish line in December. But if you really struggle through that half marathon, it's going to be difficult. And so be careful with that. It would be better if you did a marathon about the same time, sometime in January, along with the marathon that we're going to be doing. And I'll say this. Somebody asked about walking. You can walk a marathon, but you have to keep this in mind, okay? There is a 7-hour time limit in the Disney Marathon. That's 16 minutes per mile. So you have to be able to cover 16 minutes per mile to finish in the amount of time that it's going to take for you to finish under the time limit. And so if you're close to that, great, that's fine. Come on out. We'll do what we can to get you to that finish line in under 7 hours. But if you're a walker and you plan to walk the entire marathon, it's a pretty brisk walk. You can walk a mile in under 16 minutes, but you got to be moving pretty good. So just keep that in mind if you're a walker and if you plan to be in Disney. It all depends on your ability, right? Will fueling be covered? What to eat and drink before and after the run. We're going to talk about all of that stuff along the way. Thursday nights are a really good time for us to talk about things like that. If you'll go back and you'll watch some of our podcasts, we talk some about that. We've had 3 podcasts out of the 41 that we've done that dealt specifically with nutrition. And some of that was specifically about running and nutrition. So that's some things. There's some resources already out there, but we'll certainly be covering those some more as we go. It's all part of the process. But let me say this: this club is yours. This is your club, and we're going to cover what you want to cover. So the things that you think are important are the things we'll cover, and we'll cover in more detail the things that you think are most important. And so, although there are a lot of basic things, and of course, fueling is one of those things. But we'll go into more detail about those things that you feel like more detail is something that you want to hear. So let us know about what topics that you want covered, and we'll do it. Several of our Thursday night topics have been things that people have specifically asked me to cover, and so I'm happy to cover those things that you want us to go over. Will recovery be covered? That goes back to that same thing. Yes, recovery is also something that's crazy important. Certainly when you get up into those longer distances, it becomes critically important. I mean, it's important for the 5K too, but it gets really, really important when you start to run more miles. And so you just have to realize that there's a lot of trial and error in a lot of this stuff. There is no one size fits all. And we'll talk about that as we go. And remember that the Thursday night videos that we've already done, they're all available on Facebook, and you can scan through those and see if there's something in there that you feel like you need to go back and check on. A couple of recurring questions, a couple of things that have come up over and over again. Where is the Couch to Marathon training plan? There is a tab on the Run Club page for the training plans. But let me say this about the plans. I just did a video on this, and I hope you saw that, but don't get hung up on the plans. So many people want to know what they're doing way ahead of time. And if you remember Mitchell talking about his story, he talks about all the time how if God had revealed to him what he wanted Run for God to be right up front with Mitchell, it would have scared him to death and he would have run the other way, right? Well, the training plans can be the same way. You can look at those training plans and look at what we're going to be doing next December and be worried that, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So don't get hung up on those training plans. Because frankly, they could change a little bit too. We plan to use, maybe we may go directly by those plans, but there may be a reason to change those things. As a coach, I see reasons to change plans all the time. I don't know that a week goes by that something in my training plan for the athletes that I coach doesn't change, mostly because I'm watching them, but there are times that things change. So don't get too hung up on those plans. Yeah, somebody asked about putting those plans together, right? So that's kind of what we'll do. It's the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, the marathon. All those plans are designed to build one on the other. So the 10K plan is designed to go right after the 5K plan. That's the way they were made out to be. And so yeah, we'll follow something very, very similar to those 4 plans that are available online. Again, watch that video too. The one thing though that's a little bit different is that marathon plan that's in there is 14 weeks. We will obviously have to change something there because we're only going to have 12 weeks to prepare. So we'll have to cut that back to 12 weeks, and it'll be fine. It won't be a problem. But just so you know, that exact plan, obviously, we won't be able to use. Let me see if there are some other questions here that come up that I need to look at. Want to see the end. Yeah, somebody said the nutrition podcasts were great, and they were. Check those out. I think they're numbers 13 and 14, and I can't remember when Eden was. She wasn't that long ago, though. Yeah, Faith, not seeing the next step, but taking it anyway. Are there any other questions out there before we start to wrap up here? Important question. For those of you who have purchased the ladies cut shirt in the past, how do the sizes run? The ladies cut sizes, how does that run? That's a Holly or Gay question. I'm not. I think they run typical to women's sizes, so they're a little bit smaller, obviously, than the unisex sizes. My 13-year-old participates. Would she not be able to join the group if we do Disney? She doesn't have social media. Yes, she can absolutely join us. She can run the race. She can, Michelle, she can run with you. She can look on your social media. She can be part of what you're doing, and she can run right alongside of you. And that is fine. She can do whatever it is that you want her to do. You'll just have to obviously sign her up separately. If you guys decide to come to run at the mill, you'll have to sign her up separately. But that's not a huge deal. But yes, certainly have her there too. We will buy the new 2021 shirt if we have the kit already. Yeah, we'll make those available. Yeah, somebody said there might be a minimum age at Disney. I'm not sure about that. There might be. There might not be. You can go to Run Disney and you can see if there's a minimum age. That is an interesting thought. Yeah, you'll be able to buy the 2021 shirt if you don't already have the kit. Yeah, are there any other? I don't see any other questions. But we got comments from all over the country. I can tell you that. That's great. All right. Lady shirts, some are a little bigger and some are a little smaller, but about true to size. There you go. That's great. Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, I think this whole thing is going to be epic. Now, Mitchell just dared you to get up to 1,000 people by the end of the day tomorrow, and you wouldn't want to let him down. He's dared me to do a few things. Maybe some things that I've regretted, but no, not really. He's the one that got me involved in doing triathlon to start with. And I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I've done it. And I am now a retired triathlete. So again, the stories that come out of this are going to be so fantastic. And I just can't wait to see those people cross that finish line with tears in their eyes because they didn't think they could do it. And they're going to cross that finish line, and it is going to be great. This is going to be epic. I'm so excited about it, and I hope you're just as excited. Thank you for joining us. May God bless every step of every run. Now go out there and shine your light.